So what you want to do is navigate to the EPA Toxic Release Inventory Program website. And once you get here, you can scroll down to the search section. And what I've done here is I've put in my zip code. I want to find out about what's going on in my neighborhood. This is the zip code for the Bayview area. And I'll search the results. And what I'm going to get is a map. And on the map are different colored icons, each one representing a facility for which toxic release inventory data has been reported to the EPA. What are the materials that these industries or facilities are keeping track of here? So I'm going to zoom into my location, my neighborhood, and what I could do is I could click on one of these icons and find out what's going on in that particular location. Let's say I wanted to start a new search. So I'm going to go, over here to the toolbar, and I'm going to start over. And let's look for the neighborhood around Vincent High School. Now you can put in an address, 7501 North Granville Road, and you don't have to put in the city and the state and all that. If you put in the zip code 53224 for Vincent, that's good enough. Let's see what's going on in our neighborhood. Okay, so there's the map again. And when you look at the color code down here on the side, the more purple you see, the more pounds of material are being released to the environment or to disposal. So you can kind of see where their most industry are and where the most materials are being released. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Every day when I drive up Good Hope Road, I pass by this place right here, Perla Corporation. I've always wondered what they do over there. And it says here what they're into, ventilation, heating, air conditioning, commercial refrigeration equipment. That's kind of interesting. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go find out about the releases. So I'll click on the Release tab. Now what it's going to show me is what are the chemicals that this facility release, and the releases could either be on or off site. So if it's on site, that means that they could be releasing it into the air or into the water or into the land. And then off site means that it's being taken away for disposal at a special facility or a landfill or something like that. So let's see what's going on with their on-site disposal. Their total release, 109 pounds. So that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the materials that they are releasing are fairly toxic, and so even though it's a small amount of material, the EPA is concerned about keeping track of it. So their on-site release, 7 pounds, that's all, and it was, let's see about air, those 7 pounds were released into the air. So whatever these chemicals are, they're released to the air from a facility that's not very far from our school. How about water releases? Now this could be water from a stream, a pond, a lake. It could be water that's discharged to the sewerage district for processing before it goes into the lake. Nothing. So they're not releasing to the water. Land, they're not landfilling anything on site. Off site, so the stuff that didn't go into the air, they're packing up and they're sending away somewhere else to be released. Now, suppose we want to find out about how that's being managed. We can choose the Waste Managed tab, and we can see how they're managing it. Let's see what information it tells us here. Let's see what the trend by method and year says here. So these are the different ways that they can dispose of the materials that can be recycled. It looks like these are all green, so they're somehow finding recycling for their industrial toxic waste. That's good. Nice. How about the potential risk? What are the risks of these things that are being released? So let's see here. By chemical, I'm going to look at each chemical. And so what it's saying is, so it gives us a score, the RSEI score. The higher that number is, the greater the health risks are of the particular chemicals. And the most risky one that they've got listed here is chromium. Hexavalent chromium is something that's been known to be connected to cancer. Let's find out about that. Oh wait, you can also look and see year by year what trends there are. Well, the only trend that they're showing here is their air trend, nothing else. Curious. So the health effects. I can look at the health effects. So the compounds that they're releasing, I can look and see what are those compounds and then what health effects they might have. If I don't know what those health effects mean, I can look at the definitions tab up here and it tells me what does gastrointestinal mean, having to do with the digestive system. Hematological, that would have to do with the blood. So I can look and see what are the different kinds of health effects that are posed by each of those chemicals. Now, oops. You can also go back to the releases. I forgot to look at one of these tabs, the trends, the year-by-year trends. We can look to see, it looks like year by year they've gone up and down on the amount of material that they've sent off-site. How about air? So their air releases have been pretty steady, but then 2018, big spike. I wonder if that's because they suddenly got like more business or something. They were making more air conditioners. An interesting tab down here, the Environmental Justice Screening and Mapping Tool. This is kind of cool. Let's take a look at that. Now it's not going to take us to anything about the Perla Corporation. It's just going to go to a generalized map. Wait for it to load up here. And so it takes us to our neighborhood, but you don't see any icons on here. The way this one works is you select a location, okay, and what you're going to do is you're just going to point somewhere that you want to look. Say that I live over here, not far from Vincent High School, by the neighborhood by Noyes Park. Maybe I live right around here somewhere. So I'm going to click right there. Boom. And I want to find out what are some of the exposures that are in my neighborhood. So I'm going to explore the reports. And this is kind of cool. What I see here are some options to look at some graphs. And what it's showing is a 1 mile ring centered at that location that I just clicked on the map. So if I clicked on my house, this is going to look at 1 mile from me. What are the different environmental indicators that I might be concerned about if I'm trying to assess the environmental risks? So there are a bunch of factors down here on the bottom of this graph. PM 2.5, that refers to particulate matter of a particular size that if you breathe can cause respiratory problems. Ozone, which is the topic of our particular study, diesel fumes, cancer risks, respiratory, traffic. What's the traffic like in my area? That could be considered an environmental factor given the amount of car exhaust and things like that. Lead paint, one of the #1 environmental health concerns in the city of Milwaukee. We're going to work on that. Superfund proximity. Now, Superfund refers to a government program which has money to clean up the most toxic and polluted places on planet Earth. There's one not far from Vincent High School up on 99th and Brown Deer Road. You might not know about that. So there's some other factors that we can look at here, environmental indicators. And then what we want to look at are the demographic indicators that overlap with that. So if we're looking at a place where we find maybe high indicators of environmental risk, we want to see who is it in our population that is being exposed the most to those high risks. Is it people who are in the minority populations? 75% of the people living within 1 mile of the place that I just clicked are considered minorities. They also live in proximity to a Superfund site, the most toxic, polluted places on the planet. Right? So, and look at how that correlates with income and some other factors too. So if we're concerned about who bears the brunt of environmental impact, then we want to look here at this site and we can make some of those connections. Okay, so I'm going to X out of there, X out of there, and X out of there. And you can go ahead and explore this site and see what's happening in your neighborhood.